So this afternoon we're going to do some beetroot brownies. Beetroot's really in season at the moment. This came out of the polytunnel this morning. It's really, really nice, rich red beetroot. We don't use a golden beetroot in our brownies, we use our red ones. I've got some chocolate here which I just started melting because it does take about 10 minutes and I didn't think everyone would be wanting to sit around for so long. So we've started melting our butter, our chocolate. I'm going to pop the butter in there. And then we'll pop it in the oven. So I don't use a bain-marie when I melt my butters and chocolates together. When the oven is heating, I pop everything in the oven. And that way we're saving washing up, saving electricity, saving power, because you've got to preheat your oven anyway. So it all just pops in there. Whilst that is melting, on the gloves, because otherwise I'm going to end up with, looks like I've murdered someone with my hands being bright red. So we're going to pop on the gloves. We'll cut our lovely, gorgeous beetroot up. Now, because the skin is so nice, I am just going to grate it. I'm going to take the top bit off because that's always a little bit hard. But I'm just going to grate it straight with the skin on. Most vegetables, most nutrients are right under the skin. There we go. We always use the fine grater on when we do our vegetable cakes, so it melts into the cakes. We only bake our cakes for about 10 to 12 minutes for the small cakes, 20 to 25 minutes for the larger cakes. So you don't want to use the big grater, otherwise you're going to get very chunky vegetables in your cake. We want the fine one so all the vegetables melt into it. So just grate that. And we don't use that one because that's for spices and you'll never get anything out of that one. So we always use the fine one. And it doesn't really matter how much beetroot we put in. We say roughly 150 grams. Now I weighed that this morning and it was virtually 150 grams. So we want most of this. If the beetroot was 200 grams, it wouldn't make any difference. We'd still use a whole beetroot. If you've got a Kenwood, a Max or a Magimix or anything like that, I always advise people to use that and do a batch of vegetables and grate a batch of vegetables. Then you can freeze them, pop them in the freezer, and then just take them out as and when you want it. Because it's a lot easier to have the vegetables prepared in the freezer, because this is what will put people off baking vegetable cakes. It's because you've got to stand and grate. And if you've got a lot of vegetables to do, it can give your arms a good workout. So there's our beetroot, beautiful. We're going to whisk our eggs and our sugar together. So I've got 100 grams of sugar there. And we've got eggs. Now I always say when we use our eggs, we use the best quality eggs we can get for our cakes. So I'm very lucky, we've got our own chickens, we've got lovely eggs there. If you have to buy them from a shop, always go for the free range, best quality eggs you can get for your cakes. For the omelettes and stuff like that, it's easy to go for the economy eggs, that's absolutely fine. But definitely for your cakes, go for the best ones you can get. Pop them in there. And we're going to give that a really nice whisk. And you're looking for it to be light and fluffy. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they're baking is they don't whisk long enough. And I find that I run courses, and I find that when people come on courses, they're really surprised how long I whisk for. We do whisk for quite a long time. Again, if you've got a Kenwood chef or something like that, it's a lot easier to do it in there, but not everyone's got those equipment, so we always do it by hand when we go to shows. I'm just going to check our chocolate, because I can smell it. It smells delicious. And that's nicely melted. I'm just going to give that a mix round. There's a little bit of butter left to melt in there, and that will finish melting whilst we're finishing off whisking.
Just inside Newbury, Hermitage, Hampton area.
So we're looking for it to be nice, light and fluffy, and when it gets light and fluffy it goes pale as well, so you're looking for it to go really pale. And that's what we're looking for, that nice, light, fluffy mixture. So when we do our vegetable cakes, we always put our vegetables in our egg, sugar, honey first. That way we can incorporate it really easily, and we don't have to worry about putting the flour in and then trying to add the vegetables in. Because if we do it that way round and add the flour in first, you will struggle at getting your vegetables mixed in nicely. So I'll pop that. There's a lot of beetroot going in there. Let's say our vegetable cakes have the vegetables as one of the largest ingredients, but still taste like a proper cake. Giving that a nice mix, that beautiful colour. There we go. That's nicely mixed in, still keeping all the air into your cake mixture. Now, in an ideal world, we would wait for the chocolate to cool down.
I would say there's less butter.
I'm going to pop that there so I don't melt the table.
I would say there's less than that.
Hopefully I've taken it out soon enough so it won't actually cook the eggs. Giving that a nice mix in. You see that's melted really well. No lumps.
What kind of chocolate is that?
That's 70% Belgian chocolate, and it's a really good chocolate I use. It doesn't have any soya, palm, anything like that. It is cocoa butter and chocolate. There we go. And we're going to pop that in here. And we're going to give that a nice mix in, just making sure you don't knock the air out when you're doing it. The colour is so pretty. There we go. Lovely. So here's some flour. We use self-raising flour in this, and we're just going to pop that in. So all the recipes that I've done today are in my book. So we do 100 different recipes with cakes, cookies, ice creams, jams, things like that. All with vegetables as one of the largest ingredients. All very simple recipes. The whole ethos of our business is to make it accessible for everyone. That everyone can make a vegetable cake with the ingredients you've got in your cupboard, the sugar, the eggs, the flour. You might have to go and buy a vegetable or two, but everything is very simple to make.
How well would they freeze?
They all freeze really, really well. Yeah, so you can freeze them. They'll freeze up to 3 or 4 months and take about 3 or 4 hours to thaw out, that's all. But it's actually, they're really good to freeze. With vegetable cakes, you tend to find that with a normal cake where you add the butters, the fats, the sugars in, they will go hot. The butter melts in the oven and the cakes will go hard quite quickly. With the vegetable cakes, because they've got so much vegetables in, you tend to find they're very moist cakes. They'll go mouldy before they go stale.
Right.
So you'll find that the vegetable cakes will actually last longer, and you could eat them right up to you see the mould growing virtually, because they'll last that long. So you'll get a vegetable cake, you'll get a good week, maybe a week and a half out of some of them, if they last that long on the side. I don't tend to put them in the freezer either. I tend to just put them on, in the fridge. I tend to put them on the side, because there's no actually need to put them in the fridge. Unless it's days like today where, you know, we're going to hit 30 degrees, then I might put them in the fridge. But generally, I just leave them on the side. There we go. Give that a little squidge to the edges. And that's the mixture going into the oven. That will take about 25 minutes to cook. However, in great Blue Peter style, here's some I prepared earlier.
Oh.
So here it is in the finished format. So that tray will do eight slices. And if you'd like to try some, you're more than happy to try some. You can come up.